Hi, Linda.
Hi, Kat. How are you? Looks like we're the only ones on. Oh, there we go.
Heather, so good to see you.
Hey, how are you? Oh,
We're not hearing you yet.
you can't hear me yet. Okay. Is it me?
Still no sound.
Okay. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'll change it. Have it now.
Maybe it's me. I don't think so.
It is Cat. It is Cat.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think she can hear me either.
Yeah, she'll work it out. Hey, hey everyone.
Hi, Grant.
Um, Hi. All right, we've got a few questions that have come through. Let me see. A couple of people jumped in. Oh, there we go. Um, Sweet. I've just made a couple of changes. We took the last week we had stars on everyone's names when we were testing the label system and then some of the breakout room things that we were prototyping. So now um, fixing a couple of things. Look at that. Hey, Onric. All right. So, so if you're new, I don't think I was a couple of names. Just looking at the names that are familiar. But you can put questions in on the dashboard. It says ask a question. We've had a few people do that already. And then we'll try to keep an eye on the chat a little bit as well. And we'll start getting through it. Make sure everything's going okay. Yeah.
It's not. We have to do that.
Close. Got to close. Close all my messaging app, so the apps so they're not popping up all over the place. It's another busy time. I've got a couple of Obvio events um, overlapping this weekend, which is always fun. But two is better than none. So there we go. I have a few more people that are joining, which is great. All right, let's start having a look at some questions. Onreg, team member naming issue. When I log team members in an event via the Obvio admin, not from the dashboard, join the area, the naming doesn't show up consistently. Some will show up as I created, others will just show up as cafe. Yeah. So what the way that this works, Onric, is that it goes there's a workaround that we're doing to make it so that it's the username is correct. The problem, the limitation that we have with Zoom is how many times we can update the meeting to enable that to work. And so we have had to we've had to bring in another limit because we hit a problem where we were able to get people in with the right name, and then we hit this limit, and then Zoom wouldn't even let us start the meeting. So we had a bigger problem there. So what will happen is it will bring it, it's a 24-hour period that it counts how many times someone has come into the meeting as with the correct name. And within that 24-hour period, once it hits a certain limit, it's about 40 times. And that sounds like a lot, but if you're doing a bunch of testing and things like that, and you're coming in and out of the meeting, then that sort of disappears pretty quickly, and it depends how big your team is. And so what you'll find is that it's a 24-hour period based on GMT times, London time, And so that also makes a difference because the 24-hour period often is kind of halfway through, like your afternoon, Pacific time, for example, and then you'll pick up the morning still of your next day will still be technically one 24-hour period. And so sometimes when you're doing a multi-day event, you've used up, 20 or 30 joins in your afternoon, and then you've come in the next morning and you've still only got a few left. And then you'll start seeing that it'll come in as the standard name. So we're still working on. So, I mean, it's important to remember that it used to be that everyone came in, all of your co-hosts came in with that same name, with the essentially the username that owns the meeting, which is the name that we have. So now we at least have most of your team members will come in with the correct name. But once you hit this limit, then you'll start seeing the same generic name coming in over and over. Does that make sense? It's a little bit confusing, but we're making it work. A follow-up question? Go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that I'm just doing it right. So obviously anytime I invite a team member, I've got to make sure that I get their name right or whatever I want their name to be displayed at, and then not register them as an attendee on top of that, because I was doing that too, because I thought maybe that's the problem. So that's why I think I hit that thing like 100 times today and burned through all my credits, right?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So we try to use the terms Obvio user and then Obvio attendee, right?
Okay.
And the two have nothing to do with each other.
Mhm.
So you can totally have a user, which is an admin user, so a team member. Often you think of them as, and you give them a role, and they can access the admin of Obvio, and they can edit the dashboard depending on how you set up the role for them. They can edit the dashboard, they can add attendees, they can do the admin of Obvio. An attendee, while you might be able to give them some extra views and things on the dashboard that might be more team member based, they will only ever go into Zoom as an attendee. Now remember too that you can always, once they've come in as an attendee, you could make them a co-host once they were in there. So that's,
no, I was just thinking
way,
of the team members themselves.
Yeah.
And like I will have one as like a dormant control unit just joining the meeting, because that allows me to test all sorts of things like that. And I just wanted to make sure I got that right. So all I have to do is basically be patient, wait a few days, and it will show up.
Well, yeah, what will happen is that you can teach your team if they come in with the generic name to rename themselves, right? And they can totally do that because they will still come in as a co-host. So they'll have the ability to rename themselves. Often you are still creating an attendee for these people because that's how they test the dashboard. That's how they see the dashboard and see that it's working and all of that. So you might do that, but they're not dependent on each other. They're totally separate.
But the point is that will it eventually catch up and will it eventually show the correct name?
Once they've joined, it's at that point that the name is done. If the 24-hour period has then changed, then the next time they join, it will be correct.
Okay,
so
good.
Yeah, there's nothing to do on that.
I'll wait a week before testing it anymore. Thank you, Grant.
Well, it's only 24 hours. It's only 24 hours. So, and if you look at if you Google time in London, then you'll know so it's 2 hours from now. 2 hours from now is when it resets. Right.
Excellent. Appreciate
so
it.
that's how you know. Cool. That's that one. We can stay with you if you like. You've got another one, please. Could you explain basic practices between team? Oh, exactly what you were just asking. Was supposed to. Yeah, we covered that. Beautiful. Open area, open room, start join practice. Okay. So when we're looking at let me see if I've got mine open here. I can. So we're just I didn't read the question, I'm sorry, which was about the startup process of starting a room, explaining opening an area, opening the room, and starting. And so let me explain all of that. I'll share my screen here, and you can see what I've done for this meeting. So, okay. So what you see here is Zoom areas. This is the event that we're all in right now. And so I've just come to Zoom areas, and we have a couple. So you can see that we're all in the main stage area at the moment. So an area has meetings within it, Zoom meetings or Zoom rooms, as they're called here. Most people, and for most events, you probably have just one room in your area, and that's all you're worried about. The reason that we have areas is so that we can have multiple rooms within an area. And this is because Obvio scales really well. So, you know, we built Obvio really for the purpose of being able to handle more than 1,000 people at an event, so that we needed multiple rooms. Often it's more than sort of 500-600. And the reason for that is we're thinking about breakout rooms. You can only do 100 breakout rooms per meeting. And therefore, if depending on how big you want those breakout rooms to be, you might only want it to be 5 or 6. If you want only 5 or 6 people in the room, then you can only have 500, 600 people in your room total. So there we have events all the time. We're doing 1,200 or 1,500 or 3,000 people. And so we needed the ability to have one button that people press on their dashboard that goes to one area and then load balances people across the however many rooms that you have open. So that's the reason that we have areas. Think of it like in a stadium, we have a section when people come through a particular door, and then there's multiple sections. That's what we
How
have
about
there.
looking at it another way? Here. Number one,
Is that? Sorry, I was just hearing someone talk through. So it's like a section. So then we have areas. So here's the thing, that there's some extra functionality that's really helpful, even when you're just running one room within an area. And that is, in order for someone to get through into Zoom and not hit an offline message, there sort of needs to be 3 things that are true. So the room needs to be open. The room needs to be started. And at least there's a host in there. So at least there's one person in there. And the area needs to be open. So the reason that we do all of that is what we have is the ability to open the room. When you open the room, really it's activating the room. And then you're starting it by actually launching Zoom. If you have your area closed and you have your meeting open, it means that you can get prepared. So you can start your meeting 2 hours before. If your area is closed, no attendees will be able to join. But in Onric's example, where he has team members, all your team members can join. You can get settled, you can get everything working, however you want your walk-in state to be, with some background music and some slides playing or whatever it is, a countdown timer. You can get all of that all in place before you open the area. Once you open the area, that's when attendees come in. So your process, if we were to just look at a different one here, you'll see how this is the standard state that it looks like. So you can't start the meeting until you've opened it or activated it. Once you toggle this, then the start button becomes available. That will launch Zoom and you'll be the host because you'll be the first person to join. You can get everything settled, make sure everything's okay. And then once you're ready for attendees to join, you open area. And then as long as you've got on the dashboard, just to complete the loop, if you look at how we did it for this one, it's simply just choosing which area you want that button to go to. And as long as that area is open and the rooms are open, people will join Zoom. That's how that'll come through. So that's kind of the process. Is this, have I lost you, Linda? Is that what just happened?
A little bit, sorry.
That's okay. And that's one of the things that we sort of risk with having a system that scales from
Right.
100 people to there's an event running right now on Obvio with 11,000 people in it. And so that's running across 20 or 30 different Zoom meetings. And all of those Zoom meetings are within that one area. Everyone's clicked the same button to go to the area. And then load balancing is a more of a technical term, but the concept is that it's seeing what the numbers are in all of those rooms, and whichever one's the lowest is where it assigns the person. And so that way, all the numbers are basically the same across all the rooms. But when you're running just a single event for 50 people or something, a single room event, the process is still the same in that we don't like the waiting room experience, right? The Zoom waiting room. And the reason is we're trying to show people that even though we're using Zoom, this is not just another typical Zoom meeting. This is not another boring Zoom meeting. So we're trying to show that we're not just sending out Zoom links, where we're actually experiencing something a little different. And this is a way that we can do it, is that we can have custom offline messages, that can say the meeting is about to begin, or the meeting will begin at this time, things like that just is different than just sitting in a waiting room like people do for business meetings.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so being able to start the meeting, not using waiting room, but having people not enter until you're ready for that is the way that we do that with the area, the toggling the area button.
Oh, okay.
Right. So,
Okay.
So that's how that works, is the area handles attendees getting in.
Okay.
And really that is what Obvio is in essence, is we're all about nice. We're all about handling the attendees getting into Zoom. Where sometimes some people get confused is Obvio doesn't do anything about you getting into Zoom or how you're doing, your production, or if you're needing to do multiple rooms and you're needing to have multiple rooms and production in all of those different rooms. Obvio is not doing anything for that. Obvio is all just about having a dashboard home for before, during, and after your event, and being able to handle getting people into the right Zoom areas. That's what it's all about. So anyway, so that's the process of starting Zoom. Get your button connected, go in there, keep the area toggled off,
Okay.
activate the room, start the room, and then once you're ready, then you can open the area and attendees will come in.
Yay. Got
Good. Excellent.
it.
Good thing that we had your video on, because you didn't say anything or put anything in the chat. You simply put your head in your hands, suggesting this is too much.
Just a little confusing, sorry.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We've been doing it for, we've been doing it for a few years now, and sometimes we brush over some of this stuff that does need a bit of extra explanation. Bez, you got something about this?
Thank you.
Just to dovetail to what Linda just asked, do you have this somewhere in a flow chart so we can just like, oh, okay, step 1, step 2,
You mean
or
documentation? What a great idea.
well, I mean, whatever you got, I'll take.
I know. We don't. We
Okay.
don't, and it has been a real weakness of ours as far as documenting, and part of our excuse, we have a range of excuses that we use for it, but one of those is that we've been iterating so fast that things change. The look of the interface changes, and some of those processes sort of change, and so then you have older documentation that becomes less helpful than not having any documentation at all. However,
Justin just put one in the chat, by the way. It's very good.
right? Yeah. Okay. Stepping through. Look at that. Justin is just nominating himself to do some documentation for us.
No, that's really valuable. I mean, you've got some heavy hitters that like Muddy and Justin, they might do it for you,
right.
For maybe some M&M, some snacks, who knows? They might come
right.
cheap.
Some attendee credits. So look, I think that the excuse I just gave probably is less relevant now because we haven't changed the interface for some time, and these processes haven't changed in a long time too. So what we are doing is very, very close as we talk about these tooltips. Tooltips are kind of like a little help icon in lots of places throughout the interface to give often videos, because we've got Blue's onboarding videos that we are able to cut up into little segments, and so you could click a little tooltip and then you probably see a few minute video from Blue explaining that specific function, and so we're really close to rolling that out. We're just doing the final testing on that, and I think that will help too. I think people learn in different ways too, right? And it's kind of like there. I don't love documentation, but I really like videos, because I like the video where I can change the speed of it. I can scrub through it. I know that. I don't know that, and I stop and I go back over that little bit of the video. But I do know that some people really like sometimes even printing out, these steps, and then they're like, almost ticking it off as they go. And so it is something that we need to work on. So we will continue to look at that.
Just as a thought, and I know this is rudimentary, but because there's more advanced solutions, but even if you did a Trello board or, and you had the community update it when it updated, like sort of how Microsoft releases a product, and we who use it report all the bugs, right? So, but it's just a thought, because I think
it's
you
good.
would be surprised that the community might help you out on this project, so just saying.
No, I totally agree, and there are some really good systems out there for managing even the change log, and so that you can see what changes have happened or what updates have happened, and as we're growing and have more and more users at different levels as well, I think that becomes really important. And we know that some people are, it can be sort of transient, or where people are really engaged with Obvio for 3 months, and then they're not for 3 months, while they don't have an event, and then they come back and they really want to know, hey, what did I miss? And at this moment, we have no elegant way of showing that, and we really need to do that. So we'll work on that. We've talked about it a little bit. We do have some systems in place that are tracking changes, but often it needs a little bit of explanation. And so the problem for Blue and I is that these pesky events get in the way. So it's a strength and weakness for us, right? The strength is that we are working on events and we're using Obvio day in, day out. And so we're connected to it. We know what we want. We know, there's things that annoy us. And so we change it, or we're constantly using it, and we know what it's like as users running events. The weakness is that we don't have as much time to pour into things like this, like documentation, things like that. See, that's another excuse that I've got in the bag. So there's a few that are there. Oh, Sarah, I changed your name, and then you must have gone and come back again. Yeah.
Zoom keeps quitting on me for no reason. It just so it quit on me like
Pesky
3
Zoom.
times. Yeah. So.
I nominate her to do the technical writing.
Sarah,
'cause
yeah.
I think she,
Sarah can do it all for us. She'll do all the documentation. It'd be great. So I mean, just on that, Sarah, it's going to be something with your computer that's freaking out. So a restart of the computer, an update of Zoom, those sorts of things could help it, because if that was a normal Zoom problem, it would be a worldwide problem. It'd be half the internet would be up in arms if Zoom kept quitting all the time. So I haven't had that.
Yeah, I think it's just my bad computer.
Right. Yeah, you just got to tell Dad, this is a business, Dad. We need serious machinery to run this. Can't be using it on old computers. That's right. So Heather, I think you've got questions logged, but did you have something to add about what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I do have 2 questions logged, but I think the good news of you guys not having all the documentation, it keeps people like me in business, since this is all I do is live events for clients. So hey, it works, I think, it's fine. It's no problem. Clients love that I know what I'm doing with Obvio, so that's a positive. Anyway, yeah, my two questions were about affiliate link. So I have another client coming on board, wants to get Obvio. And then, do you have a feature, or considering the feature in the future, to be able to have like an automatic of I know where the recordings are, but have the recordings go into like a Vimeo or a YouTube, where it can be automatic into a page? Those are my 2 questions.
So, I'll let Blue handle the affiliate link. The recordings one, we have one integration that handles the recordings directly, and that is to Searchy. So in Searchy, you can add an Obvio app in Searchy, and then you add the token, and then it'll ask you for the event, and then you'll see all your recordings, and then you'll choose a recording, and it'll copy it directly over without you downloading and uploading.
Okay. So y'all have that integration with Searchy, but I don't have it with like Vimeo or something like that.
No. So
Okay.
So the process is that you download and then upload again into Vimeo or whatever, and then you can in some of them, like Vimeo, you can trim them and things like that as well, which is the argument sometimes, is that you might just want to download the recordings, do an edit of them locally, using iMovie or Clipchamp or whatever it's called on Windows. You can do like a basic edit and then upload it and know that it's all ready to go. So
yeah, no worries. I think it was a client. Yeah, it's a rare thing. So it was a client, very specific question. So I thought I'd go ahead and ask that. So that's all I
And
really
look,
have to
they would know, like Zapier has got systems in place to be able to do that, to take recordings from Zoom and to push it to Vimeo and to do all of that. That requires you to have your own Zoom account to be able to log in and to
Right.
access. Whereas we need to do that on the Obvio account, which is not possible apart from us creating, custom integrations. So
Okay.
that's the reason that you might find people like, but I can totally do it with my Zoom account. Why can't you do it on these ones?
Yeah.
And that, and this is the advantages of us using the Obvio Zoom account,
Mhm.
is the ever increasing costs that Zoom are pushing up, particularly
They are.
for an enterprise account. And so you have all these extra features, not the least of which is full HD, full HD recordings. And
Yeah.
so, and at the moment, cloud, unlimited cloud recording as well, right? So all of these things are features that are that you gain. And then
Yeah.
there's a couple of things that you lose that you would have if you had your own Zoom account, like being able to handle integrations with the recordings.
Oh, about one piece of that, did y'all change something? Because one account that I have is just the 997 account. As other accounts have enterprise, things like that. But that account, we were gonna do an event a month. And so I put the time of the event, let's say now, and I tried to put it to like May or June, because I'm doing that with my enterprise account level account. They're doing an event every other week. So we just put the time out really long and we just do the event. But when I tried to do that on the 997 account, or the first level, I think it's called Pro, it errored me. It said you can't do that. And it said it was an error. And then I couldn't figure it out. And I reached out to, who did I reach out to? Someone on Obvio, and they said, well, you're limited to 4 days. I'm like, when did that happen?
No, that's not.
So
You're
it's
mute-
I
you're-
used to have, I haven't changed my account.
You're
It's just
muted.
like
Yeah, so that 4 days thing is inaccurate. So there is no duration limit. What was more likely happening for you, Heather, is that there is some funkiness with redating existing events, and
this was a new
you
event. I don't want to interrupt you, but I just created a whole new event, but go ahead.
Okay, so in that case, as long as the start date is in the future and the end date is in the future, there should not have been a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. We did to the future, and I wanted to do like a 2 months because we're going to do 2 events in that
You
time
could have
frame.
done 2 years. It wouldn't have made a difference.
That's what I thought, and they gave me an error. And then I went to all my other events and made sure they were old and the date was closed, but it kept giving me an
I
error.
would be curious to know what the error was, because there are things that are required on that settings page. And like I said, if it happened to have been an edit to even an event that you just created that you went to make changes to, there is some funkiness with changing the dates. Even if you create the event now and in 5 minutes you go and edit the event, there are some funkiness with you just have to be aware of the dates always have to be in the future. And sometimes they look like they're in the future. So like the most common, because neither one of us are looking at the error in this moment, the only way to really, be sure actually is to do that. And unfortunately we can't like reverse time and take a look at that. But I mean, if you want to open up that event right now and we can, redate it together, I'm happy to, to take a look at that with you. But there is no date limitation. And honestly, even when there was a 4-day limitation, you could still make the event 100 days long. It was just going to cost you. So there's never actually been a limit on that.
Okay, so it's my user error. I have it open right here if you're available, if you don't mind. That's okay.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
I need to give. I'm disabled. I'm not allowed.
You can go now.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely user error. So maybe I'm wrong in that. I'm very open to figuring out what I did wrong. So all these are dead. They're old. So I made sure of that first. And then this was the new one that I started. This event, we were going to do one in April and then May. And how I have it right now is I have it in May. But what I did have it was like middle of April until May. And that's what I got the error.
Okay, so reverse your date to April 4th or whatever.
Okay, 1 a.m. is fine.
Sure. And now change your end date to be in the future.
I'll just do June 1st because that was kind of the concept.
And then click save.
Right there. That's it.
Hold on one second. What is that, Grant? I don't know that actually.
No, I've never seen that.
See, I told you. I'm like, it was weird. Like, wait, what?
All right, Nick, can you do me a favor?
I've got a screenshot of it.
Yeah, so do I. All right, click
Yeah.
close and click
Hey,
on
Blue.
click
Hey, Blue,
click close.
if I go to the billing page for Obvio Pro, the $997 a year that she mentioned, it actually does have a bullet that said event durations up to 4 days.
Yeah. Okay, what's in text and what's in code are two different things.
Agreed. Maybe
click
your
on-
developers finally coded it.
Yeah, well, maybe, but hopefully not. Click on Haven Media, like top right, or actually click on the icon next to it to the right, and click on account or billing. Sorry.
All right. I got it. Current plan. My invoice is not till May. And I did see this too, but I was like, but why can't I move? Yeah. I don't-
Okay, so you're actually on the basic account. Which the basic account may actually have a 5-day limit on it. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did that just happen?
That's
Because
what-
I've had the account for 3 years, and
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
this
completely against
actually,
it.
sorry, Heather, the account that, so there are multiple, I'm going to say there are multiple things that are going on right now that we're not
Okay.
going to be able to fix on this call. One of which is the fact that you're not on the right plan. You're on Obvio Basic. There should be a fourth plan visible to you, which is Founders. So we need to get your plan changed to be on that plan versus on the Obvio Basic or Essentials or whatever we're calling the one right down at the bottom. And then so that's thing number one. And then thing number two is I need to take a look at what's going on with Obvio Basic having a plan, like an event duration limit, because that may actually exist. But you're on the wrong plan. That's the issue, which is not a you thing. I seem to remember that we may have had a credit card issue and then you went and fixed your credit card issue. And
Yeah,
when
I
you
did.
did that, I have a sneaking suspicion that you just signed up for the $997 thinking that's the plan that you should be on, which is Obvio Basic. It's not. You signed up for Obvio Pro when it was $997 a year at when we first launched it. So that's what we have to resolve. And if you'll do me a favor and just email that to, or Grant, can you make a note to take care of that with Heather?
Yeah.
And then that'll fix your problem, Heather.
Okay. Yay! Thanks, guys. I was like, what's wrong? Okay.
There,
Thank you.
there you go. Yeah, you're just on the wrong plan. So we'll get that resolved for you.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Yeah, I just need to know what email that is, Heather. So if you do just send it through to help@ovb.io, then I can jump on it.
I'll do that right now. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
I was like freaking out, going, what did I do wrong? Okay, cool. I'm good. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Oh, and just the affiliate link, Blue. I don't know if you're still with us.
Yeah, just for tracking purposes. It's there
Yeah.
where an affiliate link.
Mm-hmm.
I looked and looked and
All right. We'll come back to that.
okay.
Blue's juggling at the moment.
Yeah, and actually, I'll respond to Heather. I'll respond to your help desk request about that. So I'll get you
Okay.
the affiliate.
I just want to keep tracking of it, you know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, Becky. When working with clients of ours that want to do an event, do you currently have a white label version of Obvio, or do they need to get their own Obvio account? Hey Becky. So we don't have a white label version, but it's very close because there isn't actually a lot of Obvio naming or logos or anything, because on the dashboard and things you can customize that entirely, and we even have now domain names other than the Obvio domain name, and so it's quite generic in that sense, but it does sound like you're talking about kind of reselling, or kind of using your account and reselling to clients, or is that what you?
My main thing is that so I have a specific my own profit pyramid and the business model that I want to do, and that includes doing events. So if I'm going to be hosting someone else's event and doing the tech work on it, or even doing that kind of thing, what are the restrictions, or what do I just use my account during all of that? That was a question that came up with someone that I talked to today, that she's like, oh, so do I get to use the software? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I need to check to see, you know what I mean? Because that's
Becky, I'll answer that for you.
Yeah.
So there's two answers. Answer number one is we don't have any restrictions on the on your account that prevent you from hosting somebody else's event inside of your account.
Okay.
There's nothing that prevents you from doing that. Now, from a that's like licensing. From a technical perspective, if you're going to be hosting other people's events, and there's a lot of people who do that on the platform, right? Grant and I both do that. You just heard Heather; she does that. Justin, who's on this call, does that. There are several people, who Muddy does that. There's a bunch of people who actually do that inside of Obvio, and your pro account, which comes with Leap, allows you to have up to 3 organizations inside of your account. Organizations are a way to bucket the events that you have by client. So, what we do at Sage, because that's essentially what we do, right? Very often we use Obvio as a product to, host our client events. It's essentially what we do every week. And I have an organization for every client that we have. And then inside that organization, I invite the client team into that organization so that they can see all of their events and they can help manage different pieces and parts.
Okay.
Now, with a pro account, you only have 3 organizations, which means you have some limits. The account that's designed or intended for use the way you're talking about is the enterprise account, which is a little bit more expensive. It's $497 a month or $49.97 a year. But there are a few things that are different about that enterprise account outside of the price point. Number one, you get unlimited organizations. So if you have 100 clients, you can have 100 different organizations. The other things that are different about that is with Obvio Pro, you can have up to 5 Zoom rooms active at any one time inside of your account. With Obvio Enterprise, you can have up to 25 Zoom rooms active at any one time inside your account. And what that essentially allows you to do in theory is to host events for multiple people simultaneously, or host larger scale events if you wanted to. Okay.
Okay.
The last thing that is significant that it allows for is the add-ons in order to increase the capacity of your event. Well, first off, the capacity of your event is increased as well. So Obvio Pro is 500 attendees. Obvio Enterprise is up to 1,000. And then the next piece is how to increase capacity, both of Zoom rooms on your license and also of capacity of participants of your event. The blocks look the same, meaning you can increase capacity by up to by blocks of 250 attendees per event, but the cost is half. So at a pro level, it costs $100 to increase an event capacity from 500 to 750. At the enterprise level, it costs $50 to increase the capacity from 1,000 to 1,250. So the add-ons are a little cheaper. So those are the significant things that are different between enterprise and pro. And in our mind, when we put enterprise together, we put it together with the thought that that would be the account that people who are not necessarily reselling Obvio, but using Obvio for their client events would be using. So that was the intention. But you can do it with Obvio Pro. You just have to constantly do some organization management, meaning you're going to have to delete organizations in order to continue to do it. And if you have repeat clients, that can be a pain in the ass, and you also lose your events that way. So anyway, there's nothing stopping you from doing it at the Obvio Pro level, but it is a little easier at the Obvio Enterprise level. And then there are a few enterprise only features. And those are few and far between. Mostly they're fairly technical.
Okay. No, perfect. I just wanted to make sure. I mean, I just want to make sure I'm legit with you guys and using the, just because they wanted to know, hey, do I get my own login and all that stuff? That makes sense. So organization, and then I put them in team, and they come in as a team to be able to work their own thing. So okay, perfect.
Yeah, and you're probably going to want to create a role for them inside. So inside of the team member area, you're going to want to create a like a client admin role. One of the things that I do internally at Sage when we bring clients into Obvio, we have one role that we create that is called a client admin. And essentially we give them access to everything with two exceptions. Exception number one is we don't allow them to create events, which is one of the checkboxes under roles. And the other thing that we don't allow them to do is we don't allow them to purchase add-ons, which is another one of the checkboxes under roles. Everything else I turn on so that they have full access to the application and to their event. There's just a couple really minor exceptions in that. And I think that's good practice for your client.
No, I think it's great. So I'm excited to be able to do that for people. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey, Blue, while you're on that, when we changing the plan, I can get up to 3 organizations, and can I have more than one event going on then on that specific plan, not the enterprise?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Another client.
So you can have with Obvio Pro and Obvio Enterprise, you can have as many events happening or dashboards active as you want. Right. The limitation is account wide. You can only have, in the case of Pro, up to 5 Zoom rooms open across your entire account. There can be 1 Zoom room open in 5 different events. That's not a problem. Okay. And at the enterprise level, it's the same thing, except it's a higher number, right? You can have 25 Zoom rooms open across your entire account, not just in a specific event.
Okay. And then you call it the founders, the one, what does that give you?
Founders is Pro. It's just cheaper.
Okay, got it. Okay, I'll get on another client thing because I just want to try it out for. Thank you.
Heather, I've updated your plan now to founders, so double check that. You should see it, and you should be able to change the date on that event. Okay, so you can have a play with that. Miriam, was this something related to this?
It's related to Obvio.
You just want to jump in before all the other people that have posted questions?
Well,
You're
I don't
talking
know.
now. Go for it.
Okay. It's just a quick question. I'm at this conference. I apologize. I've been a bit disjointed and couldn't add the question, but I just wanted to ask quickly because we had a long conversation about translations last week. So I don't want to
Yes.
get into all of that. Specific question.
Mhm.
When I'm looking towards creating my beautiful event that's going to come up soon, that I'm excited about, when I do that, I would like to offer my Spanish and Portuguese, and my book's in 5 languages. So I was thinking about having those 5 languages available. And I can do that by having the different rooms through the Obvio site as I'm speaking that gets translated as it goes, as it's happening. Is that right? Right?
Interpreted.
Yeah, interpreted. Right? So, and it's just that simple. So I see that Muddy's involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that simple-ish.
Yes.
So there, I'm gonna give you a caveat, which is assuming for the moment that you have your video and audio going into 3 different rooms, one for English, one for Spanish, or the 5 languages that your book is published in. Assuming you have that technical hurdle overcome, then yes, it's just that simple. But you want to make sure that first part is the part that's not that simple, which is getting your audio and video into not just one Zoom room, but 5.
So
now, if you're working with Muddy, you're not going to have a problem because Muddy knows how to do that. If you're working with another, like that would be the sort of thing that if I was you, Miriam, I would not want to take on myself.
No, and I'm not
Right?
going to. I mean,
Right.
I'm going to have to make that decision, and that's why I asked, because I want to sort of prep myself ahead of time in advance. And I've already have a scheduled meeting with Muddy coming up. Yay.
Awesome.
And so
Yay
I
you.
just wanted to, yay me. I love all of you. It's all I can say. I just love it, all of you.
We're
So
very
that was
lovable
really
people. Except for Ken.
So that was really my only question. And so, Muddy, I see you here. We'll talk about it. I just wanted to sort of start percolating in my mind. I've got another week of like full on chaos in my schedule, and then I'll be able to do deep dives. So thank you.
I'm going to give you
jump
one other
off.
thing that I'm going to give you one other thing that I'd love for you to contemplate and to keep in mind as you think about multi-language. Okay.
Okay.
In an ideal world, when they sign up for your event, you have a tag or some sort of identifier that identifies what language they signed up with.
Yes.
Because that is going to make your life a lot easier in a lot of different ways once it comes time to have a translated dashboard, as well as make sure that they go into the correct Zoom rooms.
I work with MailChimp, and I can use tags in MailChimp, or I can do it through the Obvio dashboard and have them sign up and have an automatic tag. Right? From what I understood.
You can. Yep. On the waiver form, you can kind of do that. There's going to be some Zapier magic involved in that one, but yes, you can do that.
All right. Well, maybe Muddy can help me. We'll see.
I'm sure he can.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to miss the opportunity. It's up to 2,258. I'm so excited I can't even. And it's all because I listened to every word that Barry and Blue have taught. And I swear little things made a big difference. So thank you. I'm going to let you go because I got to get back to everybody else here. And I am so grateful and thank you.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.
Yeah, we did have a long discussion about translation and interpretation, and it's good to use the right terms, right? So translation is in text, interpretation is voice. And it is important to note too that interpretation can work, multi-language can work in Zoom in one meeting. You know, like it has all that functionality there. You can add multiple languages, and you can do it all within one meeting. If you're the reason that we handle it in different ways is when we're doing larger events and we're thinking more about the chat. You know, we want to group all those people together, so the chat is in the language that they want it to be in, and all the breakout rooms, if you're doing breakout rooms, we can just do random breakout rooms and know that all those languages are handled for those breakout rooms. And that's the advantage that we have in putting people into individual Zoom meetings. But I'm just putting it out there that interpretation is enabled on all of these meetings, and you can do multiple languages, multiple interpreted languages in one Zoom meeting. So that's possible too. But great. You're in good hands with Muddy there.
Like Allstate,
okay.
but different.
Kat is, are you awake, Kat?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Thanks
Good.
everybody for allowing my siesta.
You had a question here about the Zoom AI transcription service, yeah. So we're still sort of exploring how and if we can sort of make this available, pushing it right through to everyone. But essentially Zoom has enabled it, and it is doing some analysis of Zoom meetings that can then be available as sort of extra recording things. But we're trying to see whether we can make that available for people to use. I've had some varied results looking at it. It can be quite helpful and can give you some dot points of what was said in a meeting and things like that. It can try to sort of guess where there was segments or, you know, different things. And so there seems to be some value to it. It's more just a technical way of us being able to push that back out to make it available for you. So I guess watch this space a little bit. If we can, it'll be part of the recordings. And so you go to the recordings and then you would get some of that analysis, or a view that shows you the recordings and has extra text to it and sort of these automatic chapter markings and things like that. That's the sort of stuff that we've got to explore. So,
well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that.
No worries. Was there anything else, Kat?
Nope, that's it for now.
Cool. Great. Onric is back. If an attendee logs into the dashboard and receives the offline text message, will this refresh once the area is opened and event is started, or must they manually refresh? The good news is that is sitting there checking in the background and will automatically forward to Zoom once it opens. So they don't have to be refreshing. That page will, as soon as the area is open, within a minute or so, it will divert them to the area, to the Zoom meeting, and it will take them straight in. So they don't need to be refreshing. And then another one, if I want to offer a company their own Zoom room that is exclusive to their employees, do I just create a new Zoom room and then via tags and groups assign where they go? What about reassign on offline? So yeah, you would create an area, would be the best way. And then you'd create a custom button, a button on the dashboard specifically for that group. And now that's their way in. There are ways of managing multiple rooms within an area and then having certain, them being assigned to a certain room within the area. It's a complexity that doesn't sound like you need that. It sounds like you can just create an area for them, which will have one room in it, and it's dedicated to them. And then on the button is where you would just say viewable only, visibility rules, viewable to this tag or group or whatever you have the data. And that's the room that they would go to.
This is in the main event itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
inside the main event, what I was trying to do is have a company with 50 employees be dedicated in their room so that they're not, messaging and going into breakouts with other people.
Right.
So
if you are doing that, either way you do it, they're going to end up in their own Zoom meeting that's by themselves. You have to think about how you're getting your audio and video into that meeting, because now you're doing multiple Zoom meetings, right? So for all intents and purposes, that's a separate Zoom meeting, and so you've got to get your audio and video into that meeting as well as into the other main meeting or however other rooms that you're managing.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
So just
that's a whole other challenge. Yeah.
It is that takes it to another level. And that's it, there are ways to manage that, but it is a little bit of a technical lift. When you start thinking about, particularly if you want to have interaction with people as well, you want to be able to see them, you want them to be able to ask questions, open their mic and ask questions. You want to do that, well, there's a bit more complexity in how you're doing the sound routing for all of that, and how the videos are working. And so it's one of those things that then, going to a Justin or a Muddy, or, there's a few different people that could handle that for you.
Gotcha.
It's just worth thinking about. So
by the way, how are you pushing this through to YouTube right now live? Is that super easy?
Very easy.
Is that a Zoom function or what is that?
It is a Zoom function. Yep. When you're the host of the meeting, there's a button live stream, and then it says, where do you want to stream to? And I hit YouTube, and then it asks me to log into the YouTube account, and then it starts. Nice. Excellent. Thank you. Well done. So that's easy to do. And the reason that we do it is that it makes these recordings really accessible. They're available straight away. People can scrub through them straight away, and we don't have to do anything. So it's not about people watching live. It's just that it's a really quick recording. Is the reason that we use it on.
No, it's super nice because I just missed 5 minutes, so I quickly streamed back to see what I missed, and I literally used that. I'm like, wow, this is a great service.
And you realized you missed nothing at all. It was just us talking.
Anyway,
like,
all right.
Well, that's 5 minutes I could have kept to myself.
All right, Grant. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I hope you're noticing my disciplined effort at clean language here. I'm really working hard at it.
You've done very well.
Yes,
Look at that
so
clean
far,
show.
I'm being supervised over here.
We're a multi-generational call now.
Yeah, I saw that today. So
it's good. It's nice to have a nice family-friendly space for people to walk into.
I actually noticed that Henrik spoke half as much, like he used half as many words as he normally does, as a result of keeping it clean. So
I'm on my best behavior here, Blue.
Well done.
Otherwise, I feel they're going to cut my hair too.
There was just lots of there's lots of gaps in your sentences and now it makes sense.
Big gaps, like half of it's missing.
Follows them.
All right, see you guys.
Very
Thanks.
good, thank you. Okay, Robin. Oh, I only need yes or no. There's a challenge. I can include in the waiver somewhere what's your major, and it can assign them a tag. No.
not by itself.
That's right.
So, Rob, so let's answer this a slightly different way. I'm going to answer your question with a question. So before Grant and I give you a yes or no, what's the end result purpose? Like, what are you going to use the tag for?
I want to identify like what major they are. So if I can use those majors as examples rather than not knowing what they're studying, because I don't want to talk about engineering if they're all business students.
Totally got that. So is it just something that you're going to go into the attendee list and just export it and look, and that's the only way you're going to use it?
I was hoping for the little icon next to their name.
Great. Okay. Then the answer is no, but yes. Okay. And here's the reason why. You can create a form. Now, here's the key to this. You really don't want to. You can create a form where they can select their major. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can add a label, which is what that little thing next to their name is called. And you can have the label be based on a form response. Okay. So it'll behave, the form response will behave the same way a tag would. Okay. But
Okay.
here's the key to that. You really can't let them type their major. You need to give them a predefined list of selectable majors for them to choose from.
Okay.
Okay. And then create a label under the attendee section for each major and have the rules for those labels be based on the form response. So it won't technically create a tag with the attendee, but you'll be able to use that form response the same way you would a tag. Does that make
So
sense?
yes. Do I put this form then in the area where the waiver would be?
Yeah,
Where
well, on the waiver page, on the step 2, on the waiver page of the check-in section of the platform, at the top there is a toggle on off for forms or
Okay.
for survey, it may be called. I don't remember what it's called in this moment. I could just share my screen, but my screen's a bit of a mess right now. And once you turn it on, you get a drop-down selector to select the form that you would like to put on that page. You create the form from the form section of the features. The top option of the features section of the sidebar. So you create your form, and then you select the form you would like, and it can go on the waiver page. And incidentally, I actually think you are doing a waiver, but something that we added sometime last year is some people wanted to be able to do a form without people having to sign a waiver. So you can actually do that on the waiver step. You can actually turn off the fact that signature is required, which will also disable the waiver itself, and just have a form that is a required step as they check in. So a couple
Can I
things
have
for
both?
everyone. You can. Yep.
And can I create a form like have it somewhere else, maybe in the resource section that they fill out and get the same result?
Yes and no. So not in the resource section, but you can take forms and you can put a form in a blog post, and you can also take forms and you can add them to a button. So the buttons up at the top or the buttons in the sidebar. If you see the option next to link and join area, there's form. So you can actually have, and if you do that, then when somebody clicks that form, a little pop-up will appear and it'll have the form questions in there. It's actually how the ask a question button works on the dashboard that got you into this call. Is exactly like that. That's how we have that set up. There's a form called Obvio Questions that button is linked to. So when you click on it, it pops open a form, you type in your question, and then a whole bunch of magic happens and we see your question.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Is this covered by any chance in the 15 hours?
Yes, somewhere.
Okay, perfect. All I needed to know. Thank you very much.
And Robin, I'll also say that the feature to only have a form on the waiver step is new-ish. So it may not exist. That particular part of the training may not exist, but it'll, for the most part, cover what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey everyone, it's my daughter's ninth birthday today. Everyone give her a wave as a happy birthday. Look at that.
Happy 4th, my birthday presents.
That's right.
Love you.
I love you too. All right. David, you had a question on that?
Yeah, following up on that, where there's content that's confidential and proprietary in one's programming, you need to be able to consistently document that you've taken steps to ensure and remind a person of the confidentiality. So that form element would be a great way to do that. So when a person completes a form, is their completion documented? Is their signature archived? Is it just a pass, no pass feature, or is the actual completion of that step something that is documented that can be referred back to? That you can say, yes, person X did click, did enter their signature. We can document that.
Both, actually.
Okay.
So the if you have the waiver portion enabled, then the waiver will, along with the person's signature and the date and time that they signed, will be saved as a PDF inside the platform. And you can look up an individual's waiver simply by going to the attendees tab and clicking on any one of your attendees, and there will be a URL there where you can actually download or copy and paste that individual's form. Or on the attendees page, if and I would say to you that this is probably best practices, is at the end of your event, you can go in and under the attendee tools menu, there is an option to download all waivers. And that will give you a zip file with all of the PDFs that have been generated over the course of the event. And they are named with the participant's name in the file name, so they're easy to find. And I would, of course, save that for your records.
Great. And that also, it auto-fills the name, first and last name for every attendee, right? So
yeah, it autofills
in addition to their signature.
Yeah, their contact details. I believe it's just first name, last name. It may include email address. I'm not remembering in this moment. And then the date that they signed and the signature itself, the image of the signature that they did with their mouse.
Excellent. Thank you.
Welcome.
Cool. Bez?
That was actually a mistake. I probably was trying to do something else.
I expect
so
better
I have
from you,
no.
Bez. I expect better. You need to keep on top of your raised hand functionality. Oh, good.
I'll document that.
Yeah, that would be great. Sarah is saying, how do the languages work? It's a good question. So there is a whole section. We have a couple of videos that go right into how to set up languages, but as just a top level view, what happens is we create all the blocks of text. We sort of name the text like it's called a key and value. So you have a key and it gets replaced with the value throughout the whole dashboard. So it's quite a manual process, and we want to do this better. We're working on ways to handle doing translation in a better way. But at the moment, the way that the translation feature works is a key, and you put in a key all through the dashboard, and you say sort of welcome text, for example, and then you go into the language editor and you put in welcome text key, and then you add the values for the different languages that you're doing. Now, I don't expect you to understand all of those words then, but just that's the high level of how it works. That we purposely don't have automatic translation, like we're not using Google Translate or whatever. People can do that in their browser now, right? So most people can go to the site that's in English and use Google Translate to have it into the language that they want. The reason that we have a translate feature is when you want to be very specific about the words that are being translated into those different languages, and to make sure that the translation is accurate to your subject matter, so that it doesn't get confused with just, you know, automatic translation. But it is an extensive process to go through to build out your dashboard to handle multiple languages, and to also identify the people that are using different languages and how to identify those. So there is a video that I'll find that I can send through. And Sarah, if you want to know more and you want to see this video, if you can send an email to help@obv.io asking about it, then we'll find that video where Blue talks through all the different how translation works. Is that cool? Sweet. Thumbs up. Cool. Muddy, WebEx event app can send URL parameters to pre-populate Obvio fields on the sign up page. Works great in the web app, but the mobile app just returns a blank page with the Obvio event slug showing in the address bar. Any ideas? So seeing just the event, kind of, you just see the domain name and you never see the full, you know, particularly on an iPhone, you don't see the full address. Sometimes how I can troubleshoot this is sometimes you have a share button, or you have an open in Safari button, or something that can pull you out of the app and show you the address that it's actually going through to. And I would suggest that it's not quite going to the right address, or the parameters aren't being passed, or something. Does that make sense? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mean, so it's the same link that's being sent, and there's a checkbox that says send attendee data, right? Whether to include the attendee URL parameters or not. The way I'm currently solving it is essentially duplicating the link. We're calling it live on Zoom. And so it says live on Zoom, and one says live on Zoom computer access. And then I duplicated it live on Zoom mobile access, and mobile access unchecks the send URL parameters, and it works fine. It sends them through to the sign up page with nothing pre-populated.
Right.
But when I check the link, it sends it spins, it hangs, and then finally just returns a blank page on a mobile phone.
Is it a question for you, Muddy? Is the WebEx app opening the default browser, or is it opening in like a browser plugin within the application?
That's a good question, whether it's embedded or whether it is coming in. That's an excellent question, and I will tell you.
Yeah, that's question number one. Question number two is, it sounds to me like the link isn't being passed properly from the WebEx app. And not to pass the buck, because I've talked about the fact that I absolutely hate when tech companies give this particular response, but this sounds like a bug inside the WebEx application, because those links, like how I would say I feel like it's not an Obvio problem is if you were to take a full URL and text it to yourself and click on the link from a text message, it'll open in Safari perfectly fine. So somehow at least I would think it will. And if it doesn't, then, you know, of course, come back to us, and then maybe it is our problem. But
it does appear to be, you can't see it because it's blown out, but it does appear to be opening in Safari using the default browser rather than an embedded.
Not necessarily. What's the link in the bottom right-hand corner?
There is no link in the bottom right-hand corner.
I thought I saw an icon in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, yeah, it's a compass.
Yeah, so that compass is the Safari browser, the Safari icon. Click on that.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Well, you're
that'll tell
right.
you
That
settings.
opens in a different app. But now the only thing it's passing is the event slug.
Is it just the event slug? Like literally just
Well,
the event
that's all
slug?
it says in the URL bar. It's all it
Tap-
says is the event slug. And again, it's just a blank page.
Tap the
And
address.
if you click on the address, what do you see?
Oh, it's showing area registration. So it should be sending them to
Right. So
the
copy
area
and
registration page.
copy that entire link and text it to me.
I think what's happening,
and
Muddy,
it is passing along the parameters. I can see it here.
not
So,
the not the token, right?
Oh, maybe. Let
It's
me copy
replacing
this
it.
whole thing to no. Okay.
So it's not adding the URL parameters, it's replacing them. And so it's removing the token, and now Obvio doesn't know what event, it doesn't know which room, which area it's going to, because it needs the token to know which area it is.
Okay.
So that's what's happening. It's
Excellent
replacing it. Instead
troubleshooting
of,
on a very technical question. No, it
Yeah.
has the token. No, it has the token and the
Text-
parameters.
Actually,
Does it?
text
Yeah.
the URL. Let's just because I want to see the URL. Either put it in the chat.
I bet you it's doing
or-
another question mark instead of a ampersand.
Okay. So let's see.
And my workaround on this would be to use Rebrandly.
Yeah. And so I think the workaround I have right now of all right, Blue, I just texted to you. The workaround I have right now is
Yeah, two
two
buttons.
separate links. Yeah, and that works fine because it adds more friction when you're joining from mobile. So just join from the web app because that's a better experience anyway. But yeah, I want it to work, right? I wanted to
You
just
could-
have one link. So
Yeah, you could fix it.
So Grant's right. Muddy here. I'm gonna paste the link. Actually, I'm just gonna DM
Yeah,
you the link
okay.
in chat.
Right.
So if you look after or right before blah 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 blah, right before where it says user ID inside that link, you see that there's a question mark,
I do.
and that needs to be an ampersand. That's the problem. So Grant's right. What's happening is we pass the token as a URL parameter, and so does the web app. So the web app is saying, "Oh, okay, I'm going to add URL parameters to this link," and it's thinking, and it's not smart enough to look at the existing URL and recognize, "Oh, there are already tokens or URL parameters in this URL. So let me add additional rather than create URL parameters," and that's what's going on.
Okay, this should be
Maybe a simple fix on their end, but it's not a simple fix on our end.
Great. Event starts Monday. I'm
You
sure
could-
it'll be no problem.
You could create the token as a field and pass that as well as the right. So like
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Right? So then it passes it all of them together. That's one way. Or the reason I said Rebrandly is that Rebrandly you can put a a link with existing URL parameters and then add to them, and anything that gets added to the link gets added to the original link or the forwarding link with the parameters intact.
Unlike using a shortcut within Obvio, because I tried that originally. I tried using a short link within Obvio originally, but what happened is it forwarded, but it did not append all the user data, and
The
so
same reason, most likely.
Yeah. So
yeah,
my guess was Rebrandly would do the same thing. It would forward it to the correct email, but it wouldn't bring along all the URL parameters. All right, this is great. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you.
Yeah, you know the interesting thing, you know, you probably already know this, Muddy, too, but the Obvio redirect links can, if the person is logged in already, can pass those.
Yeah, so this is really for
their.
it's the way that we're doing this is the very first time they log in, it brings them to the registration page and should be pre-populated. After that, because they're signed in, it'll just bring them right to the dashboard. So this is, it's really, but it also means we want their very first experience to be smooth. Because this is the client. I've done this event for them several times. This is the first time I've convinced them to use Obvio. So I want this to go well. So yeah.
Fair enough. Cool.
Thank
There
you.
are no further questions posted. Sarah, did you have another question? Oh, can't hear you. Something's going on with your Zoom today, isn't it? Dad.
Grant, you want to just walk her through how to make sure she's got the right mic selected in Zoom? Although she's pretty competent in Zoom.
Yeah. I think she could probably teach me. She's fighting Zoom today. She's had to drop out a few times. So
I saw her note about right clicking closes Zoom. I heard someone else talk about crashing, although maybe that was Sarah on last week's call. No, it was happening to another user here that Zoom had been crashing recently.
Cool. We'll see if Sarah can get that working. In the meantime, are there any other questions? We've gone 90 minutes. It's solid. Here comes Kevin.
I've confirmed changing that question mark to an ampersand fixed the problem.
Great. Hey, Kevin.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I know I'm going to be looking at, I need to upgrade my computer. You got recommendations that you would say to, to run it and make sure everything is running smooth?
Well, you've got Obvio's ran by a couple of Apple fanboys, and so we're always going to mention that Apple first. Are you an Apple user or PC?
Well, I have I do have a mini Mac, but I'm a PC guy. I really like the PC. I got by the mini Mac.
I knew
just
you
to
were a
try it out.
PC guy the moment you called it a mini Mac, just so you know.
Oh, Mac
the
Mini.
moment
Mac
that
Mini.
happened,
Here you go. I'm sorry,
were
Mac
like,
Mini.
As a PC guy, for sure.
I'm sorry. I'm Mac Mini. Yeah. Yeah. So I really like the PC, and
fair
it
enough.
seems I can put more stuff with it. The closed off system on the Macs is still trying to love it or like it.
Okay. Is it a new Mac Mini, a newish?
It's an M1.
Okay.
It's an M1 with only 8 gigabytes on it, so it's the basic.
Do you know, this is the thing, is that I use those entry level Mac Minis, the M1s, to great effect with Zoom. It has no problems running Zoom, even multiple Zoom meetings. I sometimes run on the one Mac Mini. It'll handle HD. It'll do, the 49 grid of gallery view. It does it all with low power and no noise. And I think they're perfect for it. So I don't think that you gain anything from a Zoom point of view. I don't think you gain anything by going to a PC. Only your comfort of what you prefer, your preference to use PC. But I wouldn't say that it's better from Zoom. The PCs that I stick to when I have to buy PCs is I get Surface, like the Microsoft Surface laptops. I really like them. There's way less bloatware on them from from the different services and whatever. And I like the laptop and just being able to connect it in. Still has a Thunderbolt port. I can do a whole bunch of, external peripherals and things like that. And it works great. And I can interchange them with the Mac. That's what I like too. So I can take a dock that'll work on Mac or the PC, and I can just plug it in the way it goes. So that's my preference. But you might be thinking more desktop, and then more custom, and doing more messing around with the graphics card and things like that. And you will see some improvement with that. But when I'm thinking just about Zoom, I would rather have multiple Mac Minis that I think of them as appliances, and they're just doing that one task, one Zoom, audio and video going into it, or pulling a gallery view out, or whatever it is. And then I need to do multiples, so I get multiple Mac Minis, because I think you can still buy the M1 from like Walmart and stuff. I think bought them all out or something, and so you can get them for $500-600 or something. Like it's just, you can't compare that. Normally you would say that there's an Apple tax on this stuff, and PCs are cheaper, but with what it can do, what that M1 can do, that's my preference. So yeah, I'd get it out and play around with it a bit. I think you might be impressed.
That'll work. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Becky?
Yeah, so Kevin, Max all the way. But I'm a graphic designer, so anyway, easy. That's what I'm saying. So the question is, it's just, and this is kind of maybe someone else is feeling this way too, but I'm just trying to get my bearings, and I'm trying to figure out Obvio, all of our member hub for Leap is on Obvio. Is that correct? No, it's totally a different.
Yeah, the content, so the distinction for us inside of Leap is everything live is done through Obvio. Anything pre-recorded is done through Searchy.
Okay, Searchy. Okay, perfect. And then there's two different platforms then for this tech call versus our regular Obvio account that we have individually.
Yes-ish. So what I would say is this tech call is taking place on a dashboard. The same way your Leap call takes place on a dashboard, the same way TVE took place on a dashboard. Each of those dashboards have their own login, right? Their own unique login. So even if you have the same email address, for each of those dashboards, you actually have an account that's not linked in the back end. It's completely independent of each other. So you can have, password 1 for your TVE dashboard. You can have password 2 for your Leap dashboard. You can have password 3 for your Obvio updates dashboard, which is what this dashboard is. Those are all independent. Those are like attendee accounts. Your Obvio account gets you into the admin, which is where you create events and make changes to your events, right? So it is 2 different accounts, but it's meant to be, because for this update call, we're using an Obvio dashboard. This isn't your Obvio account that you're logging into, even though everything is Obvio branded. We just took a dashboard and branded it to Obvio. Does that make sense?
Yep. And the other thing is that we just noticed that these Wednesday calls are not on our calendar on Leap. Is there a reason for that?
There is, yeah. We try to keep it a little less overwhelming for you, and they're not what I would call requirements. This is a call that happens every Wednesday. So I would say if you want to join us on these, because this call technically is not actually a Leap call. This call is an Obvio call, and anybody who's an Obvio user is welcome to be on these calls.
Okay, that makes sense now, because that's it. And I love the automatic reminders, because I usually go at the beginning of the day, go, okay, what meetings do we have? So, okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think think Muddy's answered the Robin question about Searchy. It's just, yeah, you'll see it's just a content management and sort of community place to handle all your content. The other thing is that it's really cool. There's probably a few other services that are caught up on this a little bit now, but the transcription feature in Searchy is really good. And so it transcribes, and then you can search, hence the name. You can search across a whole bunch of videos, and it will surface those videos and where that particular word came up in the video. And so it's very good for big sort of knowledge bases, or like lots of content, and you want to go over Blue and Barry's content, that's how they use it for Leap, and you can search for a term and then find where Barry teaches about that or something, so that's the concept behind Searchy. It's very good at that, searching for transcription and taking you straight to that across multiple videos. I think that's probably still unique for them, in that there's other services that will search in a video, but to be able to search across multiple videos is very cool. So, Justin and Muddy are basically the same person, so you can just thank either one of them. So no other questions. Oh, Sarah, you're back. Let's see if it works. It's not working. Do you think it's your microphone? Because you're hearing me through your headphones. We'll see. Otherwise, you could type it in the chat, maybe. Anyone else? We're getting down to final drinks. Final call. You want to just type it in the chat, Sarah? Cool. Something's happening with that mic. This is a bad Zoom day. Double check. I've got no more questions there. We may get an early minute. Let's see what Sarah's question is. Everyone's waiting. It's going to be so exciting. I'll just give you silence just to make it easier for you to type. just to make it slightly more awkward. Do you know how many people still do this when people haven't got their audio connected? They're like, they can't hear you, and then they talk to them. So what you need to do is you need to select the speaker. You haven't got the speaker selected. You just need to select. Everyone does it. It's like, they can't hear you. You can keep talking as much as you like. And then you'll be able to hear me. If you click this, you'll be able to hear me then. No Jeopardy music. Here we go. In the forms, I have a question form, and I'm not seeing questions if they pop up after I download these submissions. Okay, so you're testing it by putting some questions in, and then when you download the submissions, you're not seeing those tests. Is that what you're saying? Oh, she's frozen. Wow, she's having a bad day. We'll have to look at that. Yeah, I would be double checking. Sarah, if you're watching this back afterwards, or maybe you're still there. So it doesn't sound like you're doing anything wrong. If you're testing by having an attendee, testing with an attendee and going and filling out the form and submitting it, and then after that's submitted, going and downloading the submissions, and you're not seeing it, then send that scenario. Tell us what event you have. Send that through to us, and we'll have a look and see if we're seeing the same problem. We have got an exciting feature coming up around that particular functionality soon to unveil. If they submitted after I downloaded them, I'm not seeing them. Yeah. If they submitted after I downloaded them. Yes, it's not a live document or anything. So it you have to continue to download it regularly to be able to see that. You may have seen us before where we've connected to Zapier and then Google Sheets, and we had sort of this live updating document. When people entered the form, it would send a webhook through to Zapier, and then Zapier would put that into a Google Sheet, and a Google Sheet would continue to be updated. But if it's if you're just doing it as the standard functionality of the downloading the submissions, you need to do it on a regular basis to get all the submissions up to that point. That's how that will work. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, you did do something, Muddy, did you? Did a video about that? Yeah, doing Google Sheets. There you go. Yeah, grab that video, Sarah, and you play around with that. Perfect. It was one last try of unmuting. Your video's working now. You have to have a bit more of a play around, restart the computer, update Zoom, play around, do all those things and see if it fixes it. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will be back same time next week. And you can catch us at help@obb.io for any support or comments or anything. You can do that. And the live chat as well. In the admin section down the bottom left, you can click Eastern business hours. You should be able to catch us there. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.